Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna. I am Rajarsi Dasa. Welcome to Hare Krishna today. Happy Diwali greetings. This is a special program observing the occasion of Divali. What a beautiful festival Divali. It appears during the month of Kartik, which we also call the month of Damodar. Lord Krishna is called Damodara, Dama Udara, one whose abdomen has been bound by ropes by Mother Yashoda. So throughout this month, we observe this worship of Damodar, and it's quite interesting. This Leela of Mother Yashoda binding Lord Krishna actually took place on Diwali Day. Many beautiful festivals actually takes place during this month of Kartik. So Diwali Day, Mother Yashoda bound Krishna. The next day, it's the day that Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill. So that's another beautiful festival that takes place during this month. Today we're going to look at about 10 different angles of how we can appreciate Diwali and benefit from it. Because on the occasion of Diwali, sometimes people, they give the greeting, may the light of Divali illumine our paths. So what do we mean? The lights, the lamp of Diwali, we're expecting that to illuminate our path, that we'll see properly. What exactly do we mean? Today, we'll go a little beyond the little lamps that we light on Diwali and look at some different angles of how we can appreciate and benefit from the light of Diwali. First of all, let us look at the historical significance in relation to Lord Ramachandra. Lord Ram was away from Ayodhya for 14 years. And during that time, people were grief-stricken. They were not happy at all as the Lord was away from Ayodhya. Now, is there any wonder that we are miserable in this world? It's the same principle that applies. Separation from the Lord. So, the inhabitants of Ayodhya, they were depressed, they were distressed because the Lord wasn't present there. Now, Ram means he's the reservoir of all pleasure. And everybody wants to be happy. Anandamaya Vyasa. All souls are pleasure seeking. So as a matter of principle, we should know that if we are separated from the Lord, the natural result will be misery. Therefore, Lord Krishna describes this world as dukhalayam, anashashvatam, full of miseries, and it is temporary, because everything separated from God is called maya or illusion, and that means It is material, it is temporary. That's the nature of this world. Therefore, when Lord Ram returned to Ayodhya, he was welcome. And it was a very dark night, and deeper the lamps were lit to receive him, to welcome him. So, from this we can learn the very important lesson that we need to have God in our life to be happy. But for us to bring God into our life, that will definitely require some light. So let us look at some of the other aspects. We generally hear about Diwali symbolizes good over evil. Now what does that mean? How do you unpack that? Good over evil. Someone may say, come on, that's an obvious thing. You know, everybody knows what is good and what is evil. No, it's not that logical. The reason for that is that good and evil may be seen as a relative thing. For example, a man might think, are we going to be up to something good today? Yes, we're going to kill this goat and we're going to have a good feast. The whole family and friends, we're going to enjoy. So while you are thinking that me and my family and friends, we are going to have a good time, the poor goat is not going to have a good time having its throat cut. So what may be good for you is not good for the goat. Generally in sport you hear that this one beat that one, or this team beat that team. What does that mean? For you to be happy, someone else have to suffer. They have to be miserable. So when we are speaking of good over evil, we need to really get some light into this matter, what we mean by good and what we mean by evil. So when we are speaking about good over evil, it means the ultimate good, not the relative good that I think that this is good but then it is bad for someone else. That duality of this world, that's no real solution. As Prahlad said, that this philosophy of politics, this thing, friends, these are our friends and those, the other party, that's our enemy. Prahlad said, this cannot be a platform for happiness. This cannot be a platform for unifying everyone and making everyone happy. Not on that level of duality. No. So when we are speaking about good over evil, we are speaking about the ultimate good. And the ultimate good means to understand God, who is Janmadi Asetaha. We understand the cause. And we link up with the cause. There is cause and there is the effect. The source and that which comes from the source. And the only way there's going to be perfection is when we are linked up to our source. Otherwise, once we are separated, then in duality, the so-called good and bad, it always exists and it will result in misery. So, yes, good over evil. We should know what is the ultimate good. Then light over darkness. Yes, this is another popular one. Light over darkness. So what do we really mean by light over darkness? What exactly do we mean? we just turn on some lights and yeah, that will do the job. No. We need to go to the next level, which is knowledge is synonymous with light and ignorance is synonymous with darkness. And we need to give an analogy to get this point clear, because this is very important as far as the light of Diwali illuminating our paths. This point is very important. It means we must have some ongoing vision for prosperity, for peace, for well-being. That must be there. And that vision will come with knowledge. So what do we mean by light over darkness, knowledge, ignorance? Okay, let's give an example. If the place is pitch dark, so I tell you, bring me the harmonium, please. Well, the place is dark. You can't see anything, so you can't bring anything. The place is dark. Okay? Now we turn on the lights. So I tell you, bring me the harmonium, but you don't know what a harmonium is. Well, if you don't know what a harmonium is, then that ignorance is just as being in the dark. That is what we mean. Ignorance is synonymous with darkness. So in this world, we are all patrons of this ignorance. The Gautamiya Tantra says, Om Agyana Timirandasya. The souls are born in this world in Agyan, in ignorance, in Tama, in darkness. Yes. And that's why the Vedas is saying we have work to do. We have work cut out. Asatoma Sadgama. We got to see clearly that everything around us, this world, is asat. It is not the real thing. Someone may say, but what do you mean it is false? Okay, that's too heavy for you. You can't handle it as false. Okay, asat, it is temporary. And you're thinking this temporary thing to be the real thing. Therefore, all the hopes, we hang all our hopes. We invest and we think everything is going to be great, everything we're going to enjoy. And then, big disappointment. Why? Because it is asat. Krishna says in the Gita, another angle of what is temporary, what is eternal, Krishna says. What is real, what is unreal. He says, Na sato vidite bhavo, na bhavo vidite sataha, ubhayorapi drishtvantas tu anyos tattva darshibhi. Tattva darshibhi, those who are seers of the truth, they have concluded that of the non-existent, there is no endurance. And of the existent, there is no change. So what is existent and what is non-existent? Body and soul, Krishna is referring to. Of the non-existent, the temporary physical body, there is no endurance. This body is going to come to an end. It is going to come to an end. But of the existent, the soul, there is no cessation. Krishna says it is eternal. So on which platform would we be happy? on the platform of the body and the bodily identification and the bodily connections? Is that the dimension in which we're going to be happy? No. We're going to be happy when we tap into the dimension of the self, the soul, self-realization. Fine, we're going to use this body. Yes, we're going to use this vehicle to get to our destination, to realize I am an eternal soul. How can that be done? Well, Krishna says, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam. Priti. To those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I'll give the understanding. I'll give the understanding. So we're using physical. We're using this body. But the Lord is saying, we're using it, we're constantly devoted to serving Him with priti, with love. And He says, Dadami buddhi, I'll give the understanding. And how would He do it? Well, in the very next verse, 10:11, He says, and this is real deep we're speaking about. Krishna says, Teshamevanukampar tamaham jnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavastu jnana deepena bhasvataha. Jnana deepena bhasvata. To show them special mercy. That's those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love. He says, to show them special mercy, I, dwelling within the heart. It takes some light to see that God is present within the heart of all living beings. We need to have our eyes trained in knowledge. Krishna says, Pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. Those whose eyes are trained in knowledge, they can see. Jitatmana prasantasya paramatma samahitaha. For one who has conquered the mind, the super soul, is already reached. In other words, if we are carried away by this wicked mind, manoratena satidhavato bahi. If we are carried away by this wicked mind, here and there, just latching on to the objects of this world, we won't have the introspection to perceive God, who, with the shining lamp of knowledge, He says, Jnana deepena bhasvata. We need to have some connection with the Lord, and He would do the lighting up for us. Yes. He says, Vedaham samatitani vartamanani charjana bhavishyani cha bhutani mam tu veda nakaschana. As the Supreme Lord, I know everything, past, present, future, and I know all beings. So He can give us the light that we need. But we need to tune in. So that means we have to go beyond the bodily platform, and that requires some light. And this is what we're speaking about from Bhagavad Gita. We can get light. What are some of the other concepts revealed in the Gita? Gyan and Vigyan. Gyan means to know what is matter and what is spirit, what is body and what is soul. But Vigyan means to understand the origin of both. In other words, soul is caught up, Atma or Jiva is caught up in Prakriti, this Maya, this material nature. 3 modes, 24 elements. The soul is caught up, bound up, tied up in this material nature. So, Krishna is saying that if you want to get out, there is a process. Yes, there's a process. What is the process? Krishna says, Tad vidhi. You want to know? Tad vidhi. Pranipatina pariprashnena sevaya. Chapter 4, verse 34, Krishna says that you just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master, Tattvadarshi, one who is seer of this truth. And by submissive inquiry and sevaya, by that service attitude, that Tattvadarshi, that seer of the truth, will reveal the truth to you. And Krishna says, Yaj gyatva na punarmoham. And when that is revealed to you, you will not fall again into this illusion. You will not. For by that knowledge, you will see that all living beings are but part of me. Or in other words, they are mine. In other words, we'll see ourselves and everyone in relation to God. And in that state, samasarveshu bhuteshu, we'll have equal vision towards everyone. Na shochati, na kangshati. There'll be no hankering, no lamenting, no trying to lord it over and exploit in that state of consciousness. So, Krishna is saying that if you approach the Guru, it's a culture, it's a cultivation, not just some theoretical information. Let us look at a bit about that cultivation of knowledge. This is in the 13th chapter. Krishna describes the process of knowledge. He says, Amanitvam adambitvam ahimsak shantirarachavam acharya upashanam stauchyam stairyam atma vinigraha. Humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. And Krishna is emphatic about this. Besides this, whatever there may be is ignorance. In other words, Krishna is giving the process whereby the absolute truth is known. This is the process. It is a cultivation process. You may wonder, well, he starts with humility. What has humility got to do with knowledge? Well, humility means to understand our shortcomings. When we cultivate, when we humble, then we would actually know that I am not everything in existence. I have eyes, my eyes are useless without the light. I have nostrils, I have ears if there is no air. I cannot hear anything, I cannot smell anything. I cannot see. So we are interdependent. So when we are humble, then we can see the factor that we are dependent on. As long as we're in ignorance, then we just think, I am independent, Ishwaraham, I am the controller, Aham Bhogi, I am the enjoyer. That's the epitome of ignorance. So Krishna is giving this system, it's a cultivation. And if we cultivate this knowledge, certainly, Pashyanti Jnana Chakshusha, we can see through the eyes of knowledge, through this cultivation. Then, Kshetra, at the beginning of this chapter, there it is mentioned, Krishna said, Kshetra means this body is the field of activities. And he said, Kshetra Gya means the knower of the field. So we have this body, so it's compared to the field. But then there is the gardener who knows his field. So the soul is the knower. So when we understand this, Krishna says in the next verse, Kshetra Gyam Chapi Mang Vidhi Sarva Kshetreshu Bharacha. He said, you should know that I am also the knower, but in all bodies. And to know this body and to know the knowers, that is knowledge. Krishna says, that is knowledge. I know my body, you know your body. But Krishna says, but I know all bodies, Sarva Kshetreshu. So when we know the field, and when we know the Atma and the Paramatma, then we'll know that Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam, he is directing the wandering. He is Upadrashta, he is Anumanta, he is the witness, he is the permitter. So Krishna says, Yomang Pashyati Sarvatra Sarvam Chamai Pashyati, for one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me. I am never lost to him, nor is he lost to me. So we need to see through the eyes of knowledge. So when we say, may the light of Diwali illumine our paths, this is what we mean. To be able to see through the eyes of knowledge, and when we act in knowledge, we won't produce reactions. When we act in knowledge, we'll act in relation to the reservoir of all pleasure, and therefore we'll be happy. I'm Rajarsi Dasa saying, Happy Diwali greetings. And do join us again next week for another presentation.
Namaskaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasakundaram Gokule Rajamanam Namaskaram Sachit Anandarupam Lasakundaram Gokule Rajamanam Yashoda Biyo Shine.